Thank you, Tim. I really appreciate that intro. I'm really excited about this next session, and welcome to everybody to Work Without Limits. The thing we're really going to be talking about today is about community, about the power of community, about changing what community means at Upwork. And if I start from the beginning here, when we think about it, the old model of work is changing, right? We've seen it evolve, especially over the last 18 months, but it's been happening slowly over time. And we've noticed that there are so many people around the world where that traditional way of work just doesn't work for them. So how do we help shine a light on that? How do we help companies see that putting independent talent at the heart of their business is the way forward, the way to better and greater success? We want to help our massively talented community of freelancers find the work that they deserve on their terms when they want it, and also make it really simple for our customers to find the talent that they need at the right time also. But first of all, I do want to give our panel an opportunity to introduce themselves. I'm really, really honored to be in incredible company. These are three of the brightest talents on our platform, and rapidly becoming my new friends. Although I haven't told them that yet, but they are. And so I'd love to really give each of them a chance to introduce themselves, to tell us a bit about what they're doing on the platform, where they're from, what success has been like for them. And so I'd love to kick that off with Kari. So I know that you've been on the platform since 2015. You built this incredible business for yourself. What's the one thing you do every day that helps you succeed?
I think the one thing that's kind of most important is just really being consistent and consistent on the Upwork platform. So, regardless of how busy that your personal life and your professional life may be, I think it's always a good idea just to always get on the platform, whether you're submitting proposals for new projects, even if it's just 1 to 2 every day. I try to make sure I'm consistent, and I'm always kind of touching and kind of reaching out for new projects, new clients. Also think it's been very helpful just to reach out to previous clients, because everyone's needs are different. So sometimes people come on the platform just for kind of a small one-time project. It might be a couple of days, maybe a week or so, but it's always a good idea just to kind of reach out to people, at least 1 to 2 new people a day, and just kind of see, hey, how are you doing? Is there anything that I can do to kind of help you and to assist you and to kind of help you move your business and projects forward? So I think that's kind of been just kind of the most important thing, just kind of being consistent, just making sure that you're engaged and yet you're truly a part of the community. So that would probably be my most important key to success.
That's awesome. And then real quickly, do you want to tell everyone who's watching whereabouts you're from, where you're based, and also maybe you want to add to some of the things that you said, and maybe highlight what's been the most significant thing that's changed about your life since being on the Upwork platform?
Well, I grew up in the Washington, D.C. area. However, I'm a digital nomad. So in 2013, I moved to Manta, Ecuador with my wife and 2 kids. So my kids were 4 and 4 months when we moved. So their whole entire life, for the most part, has been in South America. And that's kind of one of the biggest benefits that Upwork has allowed us to be able to do, is just to have that freedom to travel, to be able to have new experiences, to meet new people, to be able to give our kids different experiences. So it's just been an awesome opportunity, and just the platform has just kind of opened up the world to us to just be able to grow and kind of double down on new skills and things of that nature. So I'm currently back in the States for summer vacation. So it's been the best summer vacation ever for the kids. So it's just been awesome. And Upwork has been able to provide us with that freedom and lifestyle to be able to kind of have those experiences.
That's awesome. What a lot of fun for small kids to get to travel to so
Definitely.
much. I don't think I got to travel until I was in my teenage years. So,
Exactly. They don't know how good they have it.
right? So Sheen, I'd love to hear a little bit more from you now. Again, where are you based? What is it that you do on the Upwork platform? And then I also want to highlight something, because it's very close to me as well in my experience during the pandemic. You suddenly became had a new office mate in your second grader, and yet even though you had these new distractions, which I felt the pain as well of having my kindergartner in my office for the whole time as well. You managed to maintain this 100% job success rate. And I really want to highlight and read this word for word, this incredible comment that you got, which was probably one of many, but let me share it with the audience. So Sashim was a vital part of the success of our small company. She helped build out our customer service team, as well as creating all of our policies and procedures. She is friendly, courteous, professional, and a team player. And we would absolutely work with her again on another project. That's such a glowing review. And again, they probably weren't 100% aware of the fact that you were probably doing double duty as a teacher at the same time. So I'll pass it over to you so we can hear a little bit more from you. And again, the same with Kari. What's been the most significant thing that you've seen happen to your life since being on the Upwork platform?
Well, my name is Sasheen Murray, and I'm a customer experience and success consultant. And I have about over 20 years experience in customer service, with about 9 being online. So I pretty much help online businesses in general, kind of streamline, elevate, and improve their customer support systems. And something that I'm very passionate about. I really love what I do. And I'm always excited to work with clients. So that's part of, kind of that shift. I was already doing it before, the pandemic started. And so with my son coming through, having to now be online as well, it was just kind of coming up with a different set of circumstances and learning how to adapt. And I think that was a huge part of, this period, was just being flexible and being able to adapt. And, I think everybody had a tone of, hey, we're all kind of in this together. There was this sense of community, luckily, with his teachers, and just trying to adjust and adapt. And so he was doing that too. And so, yes, I'd be working, and it was crazy. There's sometimes, your kids like get on camera when you're online and it just gets hectic, but you roll with it. You do the best that you can. And part of the awesomeness about Upwork was, when I started with Upwork, which at the time was the previous company, Elance, my son was really little, and I needed to figure out flexibility. I think that I was just at a place in my life where I needed something different, and I didn't need something traditional. And I know how hard it can be for families that have rigid schedules with that corporate job, having to have a time of an end time, and where's your kid going to go? And so I needed something outside the box. And this is where Upwork came in for me. And, just kind of piggybacking on Akari's statement with the consistency of, consistently trying to keep yourself present on the platform is part of my success. Constantly updating, thinking about the skill sets and the things that I've learned from working with clients and keeping my profile fresh. Just being present, has been part of my success. And, Upwork really allows for that. It's flexible in its nature. So you can always improve, you can always change, you can always switch. And that's not always the case, when you're dealing with more traditional industries or, companies. And that's something that I really enjoy.
That's incredible. Thanks for sharing a little bit about your journey. And I love hearing about all the flexibility that the Upwork platform has been providing to folks to better balance their life. I mean, it's important, right? I mean, you don't get that time back with your kids, so it's great that you've been able to spend the time and travel the world, or even just stay in our own homes and just be present. So I love that. And then lastly, but certainly by no means least, we have Tanya with us. And, certainly, relationships for me is what's at the heart of community, and definitely central to our mission at Upwork. And I, from what I've been hearing, obviously we're just, as I said, we're just brand new friends. So I've been hearing a lot about the success you've had, and I've heard about the multi-million-dollar agency that you've been able to build on our platform. And I'd love it if you could tell us a bit about how you built your working relationships through Upwork, both with obviously your team in the agency and then the clients that you have. Again, obviously, tell us whereabouts you are and a little bit about yourself, and then what's been that biggest impact you've seen from being part of the Upwork platform.
Thank you. Thank you for introduction, and I'm really pleased to be here. And yeah, so let me introduce myself. My name is Tanya, and I'm founder and CEO of Diversido. Is an agency that provides software development services, web and mobile. So we are focusing in healthcare and education directions, and we have been on Upwork since the very beginning. I think it's even before Upwork became Upwork, when it was when there were two companies and two platforms, Elance and Odesk. So we've been using both of them, and actually, so we started on Upwork. Our first clients were on Upwork, and actually currently still. So our company is 8 years old already, and it's still our main source of new clients, and our growth is still on Upwork. So that's why we are very grateful for the opportunity to be there, to find new clients. And yeah, so that's why. And I believe that community is really important part of the process, because it's always good to feel. So our company is rather small. So we started as people of 3, and currently we have 20 people in the team. But it's always nice to feel to be a part of some bigger community. So that's why I believe that communities is a really important part. What I believe the key to to success is like I don't know the exact, there is no secret or something. Just do a good job, be responsive. So we have like the company values that are really like so that's we believe in that, and one of them is the problem ownership. So we never drop the task. We do what we promise to do, whatever it takes. We care about our clients, so we never let them down. We never like, even if for some reason it's becomes difficult to complete, we always deliver what we promised. And we also believe that communication is a key to successful collaboration. So we manage expectations, so we provide like regular status updates, so we communicate with our clients, we give them the feeling and understanding what is happening now. And that's why I believe the majority of our clients are very happy to work with us, because they always know what is happening at the moment. And also the honesty and transparency. So we like honest people, and we are always honest with our clients. So we never like have any hidden so everything is clear, everything is transparent. So all our guys communicate directly with the client, so there is no like intermediate layers or other things. So that's, the things are always as they are when you work with us. So that's why I think that's another reason why our clients to return to us, why they recommend us to their friends and colleagues. So I believe that's that's our like rules of work and how we work.
I love that. I think that I love the fact that you made it really uncomplicated, and it's really the basic stuff, right? It's like having that integrity and having that good say-do ratio of kind of, you're going to say you're going to deliver, and that's what you deliver, and having that open communication. I think that's amazing. And what also is really incredible is the longevity that each of you have had working with Upwork. And then, I know that you've been mentioning even before Upwork was Upwork. So that's incredible. It's incredible to see the success and the continued growth from each of you. Well, at this point, I do want to throw the mic, so to speak, over to each of you to see if you have any questions for me. Hopefully, you do about this new way of working, about building this world's work community, so to speak, as we're coining it. So I'd love to hear from whatever questions you have.
Well, I can start it off, Fran. In light of the great resignation, what does community and working without limits mean to you? So where do you kind of see Upwork playing a role in helping people who have recently, chosen to leave their kind of high level corporate roles in the different industries? There's a huge change up, and a lot of people are kind of transitioning to working at home and kind of freelancing on the Upwork platform. So just how do you see Upwork kind of playing that role in helping people to make that transition moving forward?
Great question, and obviously, yeah, we are going through this great resignation right now, and I think that what's been really interesting for me is through this transition, people are really being bold with those moves. They're making really significant changes in their life, and I think Upwork has a real role to play here to make sure that we are that helping hand, we are that guiding voice, if you would, to make sure that people feel comfortable in that next step in their career. And of course, we have this amazing platform for people, something that's really easy for them to get started and take advantage of the opportunities that we can provide to them. But it's still a huge step change for people, and I think it really embraces the idea of what we call, the today's conference with Working Without Limits, and that's what it's all about. It's about working to a point where it's good for you, because the right time, the right platform, the right way of working doesn't have to be as prescribed as it used to be. It doesn't have to be getting in your car, making a 30-minute commute or longer, spending 9 to 5 in an office and then coming home. It's about, what does that mean to you? So for me, yes, it's about embracing the idea of freelancing, because I think that's incredibly important. But as we start to even think about different ways of working, it's freelancing. It's, I want to work 4 days and not 5 days. I want to work 3 days and not 5 days. I want to be able to work in the evening versus during the day, because it works better for me, because it's better for my schedule, it's better for my life. And I think Upwork's going to provide that flexibility, but it's also going to provide that thought leadership. And central to that is really being able to elevate and amplify the voices that are within our community that can become those thought leaders. So when I say the thought leadership, I don't necessarily mean it's coming from Upwork. It's certainly doesn't need to come from me or any of our leadership team. It's going to come from the people on this session, from you, Kari, from you, Sachin, from you, Tanya. You're going to be the thought leaders. You're going to be the people who can share your incredible experiences, your incredible success of changing how you worked. And the community that we're starting to build is really going to provide you that platform to do that. So hopefully that answered a little bit of what you were after, Kari. But
Absolutely,
fantastic. I'd love to see. So who would like to go next?
Well, I have a question. Following up on Kari's question, what do you see freelancers' role in your vision of building out community, and where do clients intersect? Because I always find that to be kind of an interesting dynamic, where how the community in both of those sides kind of work together outside of the traditional kind of work and projects, right? I'm wondering if you see members of our talent community being able to participate in cohorts of sorts, either with each other or with clients. Like, where do you see the talent community playing a role in shaping Upwork's corporate strategy and their products?
That's a great question. Yeah, and it's one that's got probably a session all on its own to answer. I think the freelance community is hugely important to building the community, to making sure that it becomes successful. And I think and also being part of how we deliver a better product for our freelancers as well, for our talent. And that obviously is going to have an impact on our clients. I'm a big believer that the better skilled, the better loved, the better appreciated our talent is, the better success and the quicker return on investment our clients are going to have by interacting with our community of freelancers. And I think the only way we do that is by providing and listening. Well, firstly, we need to listen to what it is that our talent wants. We have an inkling that we can do a lot better. We know that we can provide a really solid platform for education, for learning, to really knowing that as the three of you have navigated and created these incredible careers on the Upwork platform, and you are great at what you do. But there are so many folks, as you know, and referencing the first question during this great resignation, that are super new, right? So they're absolutely new to this way of working. So we want to be able to provide a platform that says, hey, when you join this community, when you join this new way of working, there are a bunch of people that already are doing it, that are already successful. The three of you are massive examples of that. So how do we help you become, like I said, these thought leaders, these mentors to the people who are coming through? And that doesn't mean to say you have to suddenly add another 20 hours to your week to become one-on-one mentors with people. But like I said while we were doing the intro, I really think that people are inherently good and want to support one another. And I think that's what we've seen this last 18 months, right? With how we've forged possibly a greater community during the most challenging of times. And I think that that's what we want to create on the Upwork platform, that sense of community, that sense of leveraging the incredible talent we have to enable the talent of tomorrow. And I think that's where, you're going to see Tanya adding to the 20 people who work with her already, because she's going to see that new talent coming through and she's going to be able to bring them into her agency, etc. So there's a lot of ways we can do that. And then when we think about the client specifically, I'd love to be able to say, let's create, and I firstly would say that my focus right now is on talent. It's about creating the best experience for our incredible talent so that they can provide the best experience for our clients. But we need to factor in the clients. We need to make sure that we're thinking about them as well. And the way it works is connecting the two together. We've got products that and improvements to the platform that are either being released or are going to be released, things like being able to build a virtual talent bench so you can continue those relationships with the talent that you have. But that relationship should continue in the community. There's no reason to say that I'm a freelancer, I need to stay over here. I'm a client, I need to stay over here, because guess what? We know that that they merge, right? So one day you're a freelancer, the next day you're hiring somebody to do work with you. So right. You play a double role there. So that's the thing that we need to be cognizant about. So absolutely, freelancers are central to the success of the community, central to the success of the business. And you'll see more things. You'll see these cohorts start to happen. And more importantly, you'll see cohorts that are bringing our community closer to our product. So I envision things like early access groups. So as we're starting to release these new features and products, getting our most active members in the community, getting our most successful talent to be part of that product development process by saying, hey, we're thinking of doing this. Here's the beta. Why don't you play around with it for us? And then we're able to really understand what's necessary to make it a successful launch for us, but also make sure that it's really value add to our community. So yeah, great question. And hopefully that was okay of an answer.
That's awesome.
I have a question as a professional and an agency owner who are outside of the US. So we are not the US company. And actually the question is, what plans do you have for the international community? Is it something you can tell us about?
Yeah, no, international is huge, right? We need to make sure that we recognize, and I said at the start, it isn't a US-based thing. It isn't just a UK-based thing. My accent giving it away, but it isn't just it isn't that. It's a whole global way of changing how we work, and it's the community Upwork platform has a huge global presence already. But can we do more to support that global community? Absolutely. And what is it that we can do? Well, let's think about things like, when I think about community specifically, you speak flawless English, Tanya, and you are obviously, that is not your native tongue, which is incredible to see. However, the idea that we could create community and events and content that is localized, that is more easily accessible to people who maybe don't have a second language and that language happens to be English, we tend to get very fixated on creating a English-centric experience, and that's okay and that's fine, but it isn't scalable and it isn't going to sustain us to grow to where we need to be as a business or where we need to be as a community in order to meet our mission, which is really about supporting, amplifying, and elevating our talent. So yes, we absolutely want to be able to create incredible experiences for our global community. So that, like I said, that's going to include, you'll see more things that are, and we do some incredible events today, certainly across Eastern Europe, and I think that's great. But we can do so much more. Well, I have had an absolutely amazing time with each of you today. I have learnt a lot. I'm sure I will continue to learn more from each of you because this will not be the last you see of me, I promise. Like I said, I have a lot of takeaways from each of you, and I will definitely be factoring those in as we build out what hopefully will be the true world's work community. So with that, I'll pass it back to Tim, and thank you again, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.